Catfish, Air Qatar, and the Predators taking control of an even series. Also on the list of greatest throws in baseball history, that's not one of them. And an around the horn investigation into whether this water slide is real. What do we say, people?
I say absolutely not.
It's a conveniently timed walkthrough by that lady right there. I don't know. That's at Pirates Island in Ocho Rios, Jamaica.
It's Around the Horn.
There was no reaction from anybody else. That's what
Here's Tony Reali.
Maybe we'll get to that later. You smell that, guys? Smells like a catfish with a stuffed penguin in its mouth and a hat on its head. Smells like victory. The mentally tired Pecorine, Bill Plaschke. 2-0, and since you said that, it's been 4 games. If you look at the stats right now, you might think this series is over. National sweep. But as we know, a series doesn't start until Bill Plaschke gets muted. Woody, since Bill is tied up right now, you're going to start us off. Are the Predators in control of the series right now?
Sure, and Rennie is back on top where he belongs. He stopped 50 of his last 52 shots. There were people on the show last week calling for him to be replaced. The guy's the best player in the whole series. Of course, they're going to win 1 game in Pittsburgh. This is a better team throughout the series. The way they circle at mid-ice, the way that their forecheckers are helping their defenders, the fact that they have gotten a lot more shots, almost 30 more shots than Pittsburgh in this series, more hits, more goals overall after those first 2 games. The Nashville Predators have this series right where they want it.
Monty Jones, you agree?
I mean, Woody, you say that as though being the best team is ever determined who's going to win a hockey series. Is it possible to have control in a hockey series? We were just ready to run Rene out of his job after a couple of bad games. They're certainly in a position that you want to be in, but I didn't come off of game 4 feeling like, oh, man, the Predators just outplayed the Penguins so badly. You look at the numbers, just about everything looks either even or is leaning toward the Penguins. So I can't say no that they absolutely have control of this series. I'm just curious, what do you do when you come off that crazy environment in Nashville in a sport where we say that home ice court, whatever you want to call it, advantage normally doesn't matter as much in hockey? How does this change, though, coming out of that madhouse and now going to
Looks like
Pittsburgh
it matters in Nashville right now, doesn't it? I mean, 9-1 this postseason. Kate Fagan, join us.
I mean, the best team doesn't always win the Stanley Cup final in hockey, but usually it's the team with the best goalie, and that is right now the Nashville Predators. Woody listed all of the stats about Pecorine and the way he's turned it around from the first 2 games to these last 2 games. So if it's best defense and it's a goalie who's quote-unquote standing on his head, that's exactly what the Nashville Predators have. And on top of that, it's not as if that's all they've had. They outplayed Pittsburgh in the first 2 games of this series, and they obviously outplayed them in the next 2. And they have the 2 key factors that every hockey team needs in order to win a Stanley Cup: defense and goal.
But they don't have home ice over the last 3. And this is maybe, Kate, you've only been on the show the last 3 years or so. Goalie standing on his head is a deduction on this show for the cliche.
Oh, it is?
It just is. It is. We haven't had it all season long.
It's the
Very
first
impressed.
time.
Plaschke, how about you?
Don't be catfished by this series so far. The Penguins are still going to win the series. The Penguins are still in control. The 2 factors you talked about, Kate, 2 biggest factors. Penguins have the best player in the world, Sidney Crosby. They have the Conn Smythe guy and Jake Gensel. They have they have home ice advantage. 2 out of 3 games at home. Defending champions. You know, again, Rene was great the last 2 games. Wasn't so great the first 2 games. He's been great for half the series. I like Murray. I like Crosby. I like Pittsburgh at home.
Page back in.
Well, my favorite player in the entire series is named Gaudreau, Tony, and he doesn't even have a locker in the locker room. The guy has had his first 3 NHL goals in the Stanley Cup final.
That is incredible.
He is playing out of his mind.
Yes, it's almost like he's playing on his head as well. I mean, out of his mind, standing on his head, it's just something we have to deduct. That's what we do on this show. That's why we're here. We've been horned, we'll move on. LeBron, a podium, let's go.
One thing you guys could do is slow the game down. Is that easier said than done, and how do you do it against a team that runs like they do?
No, that's not our game. We don't play slow down basketball.
Can you afford to play at this fast pace?
We play at our pace, our game. We got to this point playing our way. We won a lot of games playing the way we play, so No, we're not going to change.
Wondering where you guys come down on the greater strategy that the Cavaliers need to slow it down in order to have a chance. Bill Plaschke, start us off.
I picked the Cavs to win. This is driving me crazy. Yes, last year,
you did. Thank you for reminding us.
Last year, they outscored Golden State in fast break points. Last year, they won by playing downhill. Last year, Golden State didn't have Kevin Durant. That changes everything, and they're not adjusting for the most important player on the floor right now. This series has averaged about 105 possessions in those kind of games. In the last 30 games, the Golden State's 29-1. Cleveland's played 6 of those games, and they're 3-3. It's not their game. With Durant in there, they can't play like this. This is suicide.
Great stats from Plaschke. Woody Page.
Oh, I agree that they got to slow it down. I said that after the first game. The only chance they have of winning this series is playing half-court basketball on both ends. But instead, that's leading to turnovers. The pace they're playing is leading to more turnovers, which gives the Golden State Warriors every opportunity to go on those 10 to 12 runs. He even said it after the last game. They were close, 4 points. He made a critical turnover, and suddenly it's a 10, 12-point game. The only way they can keep that is to stay in the game for more than 3 quarters by using up 20 seconds on the clock and going into their set, getting J.R. Smith.
But do they have the team to do that? This isn't the team that had, or even that Bogut traded for or signed at least at one point in the season, but he's not playing. No Mozgov, no big guys like that. Jones, how about you?
Nuance, fellas, nuance. Do they need to slow down? Yes, they do need to slow down, if for no other reason than the first 2 games of the NBA Finals were the fastest 2 games played in what is termed the modern era of the NBA Finals. No, the Cavs can't sustain that. You saw how exhausted LeBron was coming down toward the end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter of Game 2 because those games were faster than even most Warriors games happen to be. But that doesn't mean that they need to play slow. Like, what are you going to tell Kevin Love? If he gets a rebound and the outlet pass is there, no, don't do that because we're going to try to hold the ball for 20 seconds? No, that's not the way that you want to go about this. Maybe they need to play a little slower. Maybe Kyrie Irving, when those runs are getting started, doesn't need to go down there and try to take a shot within 4 seconds to try to silence somebody or anything like that. But I agree, they don't need to try to turn this into a slow down, sludgy sort of game. That being said, the Cavaliers were 15th in pace this year during the regular season. No, they're not a slow team, but at the same time, they're not the Warriors, and they shouldn't try to be that.
Good information from Jones. You said 2 fastest games in the modern era of the NBA. What are you defining modern era? How long are we talking?
I think they said it was 1991. I do this other television show where they give us statistics. And I don't know.
Okay, so pre-91 is wait. That's the olden days of the NBA, is the 80s. And
there's some pretty big pace changes after 91, if we want to be honest.
Kate Fagan.
I mean, if the Cavs do slow it down, they play into the hands of a Warriors team whose defense is best after the first 6 seconds of the shot clock. I mean, that's why the Cavs were so effective last year, was that the only time the Warriors' D isn't elite is in that first couple ticks of the shot clock. I think the problem here is that this isn't a matchup in which we can scheme our way into some advantage for the Cavs. I mean, every single time we think of a punch that the Cavs can throw, I can think of every single counter punch that the Warriors can throw. This isn't a typical matchup where we're like, oh, we really, really hope the Cavs can play the pick and roll differently, or maybe they'll exploit it on a pick and pop. Like, there is no punch that the Cavaliers can throw where you can't immediately think of what the Warriors can do and do well and do possibly better than any other team that we've seen. So, yeah,
let me ask you this,
what are the Cavs supposed to do? Yeah.
Are you with Tyronn Lue here? Don't change the starting lineup either. I mean, he's going to stick with J.R. Smith and not go to Shumpert in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I'm with the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs at this point, they have to play with the lineup and the style of basketball that has got them here and that won them the title last year if they even remotely want a shot.
Bomani?
No, you got to stick with JR because if you bench him, you got to be worried about whether or not you're going to lose him because he is way into his own head right now.
Well, sure, he gave him these numbers.
You've already lost JR.
Points. Yeah.
He's making a bench.
Well, I think that I would make a change in the lineup. I would take Thompson out and put Korver in. I'd get more scoring. I'd slow it down, and I would get the ball.
You want him to slow it down, and now you're going to put in a guy who shoots the 3 like Korver, and you're going to take out their only big presence.
Spread the 4 in a half-court offense and have more 3-point shooters.
Yeah. It's not like Thompson's played so far in the series.
That's been terrible.
That's the whole point.
Smith's been terrible.
Need him to play. All right. You know what? We're going to move on to the next series for fun right now. Warriors-Bulls. The conversation people have already started to have, even though this series isn't over. We'll have it for fun now as well. Vegas says Golden State 6.5-point favorite over the 72-win Bulls team. You can try to say you can't compare generations like yesterday's panel. If you do, I'll mute you. NHL just did, and maybe the 85 Oilers, their #1 team. Tom Brokaw made a career out of comparing generations. That's a greatest generation joke there for you people on D-Day. Who's with me? Come on. All right, some ground rules here. 7-game series we're going to be talking about, and the refs will ref it like it's the early 2000s, just to draw a stake in the sand here in between both teams here. So there's some holding, but no ground and pound, let's say, from 96. Bomani, who you got? Warriors or the 72-win Bulls?
All right, so basically what you're telling me here is that those Bulls will have the option of muscling Steph Curry around.
Muscling, but not in 1996 ground and pound.
Yeah. But if they can muscle him, then you got to go with the Bulls. Like, a significant part of why the Warriors can play the way they play is they're a team built around the rules of today. That makes them no different than anybody else. But if you can muscle Curry around, then we're looking on the other side at a team that can go small the same way the Warriors can go small. They can put out a lineup of Harper, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and Tony Kukoc, and they look a lot like a modern basketball team. There's also this other thing, man, and I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. It's Michael Jordan over there, man. Like, he will belittle Steph Curry into a puddle of tears if that is what is necessary in order to win in this series. I'm not betting against Mike. I can't do it.
Okay, Fagan, you?
I got the Warriors. I mean, we've watched the evolution of sports athletes, running, jumping. Everything is bigger, faster, stronger. I don't know how a hand-checking rule is going to take away 20 years of the evolution of the NBA athlete to the point where this Warriors team and the athletes on it and the style of play is far superior to 20 years ago. I think the only thing that's keeping us from admitting that is being prisoners of the past and the nostalgia of that Chicago Bulls team. The hand check rule is not going to stop Steph Curry. He's not going to be crying in a puddle on the floor because of a mid-90s team that was amazing, but we have seen the evolution of the game.
Okay, so now that's Fagan for the Warriors. Plashke, how about you?
I've covered games with both teams, and it's the Warriors. I agree with Kate. There's no question. No, Monty, I won't bet against Jordan or Pippen. See, it's the other guys that bother me. Harper, Kukoc, Rodman. Those guys, their careers got overinflated over the years, their reputations. They don't match up to the 4 All-Stars of Golden State. They just don't match up in the depth. They don't match up in the versatility. They just don't match up. It's at least a 6.5-point favorite.
Paige.
Plaskey, you said there's no question. You don't have the answer. I'll tell you 2 sure things. 1, my generation was the greatest of all time. And number 2, the Bulls would win that game and win a 7-game series. I mean, they were so dominant then. You talk about the Warriors now. I'm telling you, Rodman would get every rebound in the game. He would, and Jordan would totally control the backcourt. Ron Harper was a great pickup that year. Mustang Sally was another pickup who played for Detroit. I think Steve Kerr was coming off the bench. That team was superior offensively.
Okay.
You look at the defensive play. They had 2 of the greatest defensive players of all time. Give me the Bulls.
Jones, after the horn.
This is like if all of us went to the same barbershop. What an amazing thought. Bill, you start talking about versatility and how the Bulls don't have the versatility. They got Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and Kukoc in the starting 5, and you're saying that they don't have versatility or not?
What does Rodman do? At the bottom line, Rodman rebounds to play defense.
Guard positions
you get a guy who scores 0.
Guard from 3.
Is he guarding Durant for you? If you're putting him on Durant, it sounds like, Bomani.
He's probably guarding him and touching him at all times.
Fagan, you wanted one last word. You got it.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bulls team had to go 6 games against those Sonics, that 95-96 team. We are now witnessing what
terrible.
They were up 3-0. They were up 3-0.
It went 6 games,
I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this conversation right here. We're taking a break. Buy or sell next. Sporting event in America last night. Oklahoma over Florida in 17 innings. This was great. Best part about 17 innings and 496 combined pitches is the look you give when you win. This is game 1 of a best of 3. Bill Plashke, is a 17-inning loss easier or harder to recover from?
Harder for most teams, not for these Gators. They were down to their last strike twice and saved it last night. They haven't lost back-to-back games, but once this year, I'll take Florida tonight.
Woody Page?
Yeah, he's sucking up to the producer of the show. And I'm going the other way. It's harder for Florida to recover. The National College Player of the Year, Barnhill, pitched 9 innings last night. She's not going to be able to pitch tonight, but Paige Lowry, P-A-I-G-E, is going to pitch again because she didn't pitch the whole game.
Jones.
I mean, it'll be tougher for the losing team. I don't think you even have to explain it too much, but let's not lose sight of the fact the hardest part of recovery here is the 17 innings, and both teams had to deal with that. That whether you won or lost is almost negligible after you play damn near 2 games.
Fagan.
Yeah, both sides are equally depleted when you talk about pitching and the number of innings, but I'm putting my money on Florida also because, I mean, this is the kind of game that puts softball on the map outside of the frenzied fan base, which it already has, and so I think there's going to be the emotional boost of that for Florida as well, knowing the eyeballs on it.
You know, the plane that was providing aerial shots of this game ran out of gas, had to take a landing in the middle of this. That's how long it went. That tells you how good of a game it was. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. The Sixers say they will not play Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons in the Summer League. Woody Page, buy or sell?
I'm selling that. Bill and I have been to plenty of the summer leagues in Las Vegas, and just the environment of being there, being with the players, learning more about the system. I think if you're trusting this process, you want to get both of them in as much experience and in an environment like that as you can.
Somebody jump.
Now, I buy with Embiid. We've seen him play in the NBA. He's too good to be out there with those dudes just trying to find a way to make it to the league. Now, with Simmons, we haven't seen him play NBA basketball. I think he should play, and if they're worried about him being hurt, look what bubble wrapping Embiid has done. You've gotten 30 games out of him in 3 years.
Fagan?
I buy it on both players, but I got to tell you, I'm running out of buy cards when it comes to the Sixers and not playing, because it seems like at this point we haven't seen enough from all of their young guys. But there's too much upside to Simmons to even risk another injury.
Flashy.
I'm selling Embiid, and you know, that's like Corey Seager playing Winter League, but I'm buying it for Simmons. This is where the learning starts. This is where the things get installed. A lot happens. Summer League's a big business, a big deal now. Simmons needs to be there.
Buy or sell three. Over or under $400 million for Bryce Harper's next contract. Look at it. Unnamed GM here quoted in the Mats piece on .com, calling that number light and paid like paid. Bomani, over or under $400 million?
I think I'm probably going to go over. The tricky part is the length of the contract, and baseball teams love to get these double-digit year contracts as they're predicting what's going to happen 10 years off from now. Makes a whole lot of sense. But remember, that 2015 season for Bryce Harper, Fangraphs said his play was worth $70 million. Someone will pay him $40 million a year.
I'm going over for that $70 million number that Bo just suggested, and also the fact that the only precedent we're looking at is the arbitration that they avoided with the Nationals and how much percentage-wise he got more than the next guy who went that route. And so it looks like we're going to have a record-busting salary for Harper.
In 5 previous seasons, he's only played 1 season that's been complete and injury-free. And, you know, I just think you pump the brakes on this. You hold off to see, let him get to the postseason, let him get to the season, see how he does. He's a guy who plays hard and plays reckless. He gets hurt a lot. I don't know if it's worth it.
You're saying he played last year hurt because he had the
he was
games
clearly
last
hurt.
year. Was
yes, but he was hurt. But he was hurt. Yeah. That's what
Paige, how about you?
Oh, pump the brakes. Give me a break. I'll tell you what. You put your foot to the metal and go as fast as you can.
He's 15
years, and $500 million.
Oh,
that joke.
That joke just crickets, Woody.
Plastic Page, I think it's time to say goodbye. We got a Jones Vegas showdown.
Horn is brought to you by Lexus. Experience amazing.
Fagan and Jones in showdown. NFL Network's top 100. They're down to about number 30 so far. And J.J. Watt is number 35. I played 3 games. This list is a joke. Joke or no joke, Bomani?
I mean, I got to say no joke. The list was voted on by players, which the players always say they want. And I feel like if he wasn't on that list, he would say, I'm not on that list. It's a joke. I didn't have motivation. Let me go chop some more wood.
Yeah, I got to say that it is a no joke. I think J.J. Watt was actually pretty upset about it, even though he tried to later spin it as if he was saying he shouldn't even be on the list at all because he didn't play enough. But it seemed like he was pretty upset about that ranking.
We'll split the point. We'll move on. The worst throws in baseball history often slip out of somebody's hand, often go 2 feet and drill a hole into the ground. But last night's Orlando Caliste of the Giants, to say he airmailed it is insulting to air and mail. Is that the worst throw you've ever seen, Kate? Or I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Look, I'm not mad at all, Tony. I'm an Eli Manning fan, so I'm used to seeing balls just randomly thrown up there. So it actually wasn't out of the ordinary for the games I watch.
Right. Sometimes you got to give a dude credit for his arm strength right there. But the worst throw that I think I have ever seen, 1992, Barry Bonds, left field, enabling Sid Bream, the slowest man in the history of baseball, to make it to home plate. Shout out to all you Pittsburgh fans.
That throw was right there.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, boy. Bomani. for your troubles. I know it pains you. We'll move on. Justin Bieber, not that one. This one, defending the wearing of many different teams' jerseys. If I'm whacked for wearing jerseys, they give me out out of love, then I'm whacked, is what he said. Bo, you with Bieber's, you a fan of him here or against him?
I mean, I guess I grew up in an era where people wore a lot of sports gear anyway, so I could understand how he has them all. It's not like he's claiming he's a fan of them like your man Drake. What is it with these Canadians, man? They just want to jump on whatever's hot. You know what? Now I'm down on Bieber because I'm associating him with Drake, and I'm lumping all of Canada in with it. Find your own teams.
I mean, I agree with him on one front because I also love high-level sports games the same way the Biebs also does. But I disagree with him. I'm actually a sports monogamist, so I only wear the jerseys of the teams I love, and I can't support that.
The high-level sports games was a nice little turn there, Pagan. I like that. That's getting you the face out.
I mean, look, I'm actually still fired up, and I don't even care what my Twitter feed looks like when I say that the Warriors are better than the 95-96 Bulls. I do not understand how we admit that we see the evolution of sports on every single front, and yet we still believe that a team from 20 years ago could beat a team from 2017. You could sit courtside in 95 and then courtside in 2017. If you actually juxtapose those two moments right next to each other, you would be blown away by the difference in the game. Okay, the Warriors are better than the 95-96.
So here we go again. Let's go. Let's get to the bottom.
I lost.
I don't want to see
so that
him.
she could keep being wrong.
Oh, don't worry about you with the game. Don't worry about you with the game.
Coming out here and being wrong.
Talk about the Bulls a lot. Nobody cares that you lost.
Look, I'm just saying, man, we got to give some of these modern advantages to the old guys. We gonna put them in a time machine. You can't put them in a time machine and make them live in standard definition. Give them some HD.
Barry Bonds.
Okay, we still didn't get to the bottom of it. Chuck.